So I don't know where the time has gone, but 4 years have now passed since I first got into game development. A year ago I uploaded a video titled 3 Years of Game Development, which showed my progress throughout the first few years of learning Roblox Studio. I enjoyed making that video and it performed exceedingly well, so I decided to make a second video. GUI. Sunny's GUI has gone through many iterations throughout the years. In April, it looked like this, which doesn't look that bad, but had a few issues. The glow on the buttons was too strong, which made them look blurry in Roblox, and I didn't like the shape of the menu buttons. I tried this variation where the buttons were on the bottom of the screen, but that looked a little odd, so I eventually settled with a similar menu bar that I liked. I added a slight inner shadow to the outlines, and reduced the glow so the outline was clearer. I removed the borders on the shop buttons and added a gradient to them, also adding these new inventory sorting buttons in the process. Modeling and map design. When I uploaded the 3 years of game dev video, the only thing I had modeled so far had been a couple meshes for PUMPKOR. It was top of my to-do list, as it gave me a lot more freedom, but it was so complicated and intimidating to get into that it took me a good while to properly start using it. I messed around a little and came up with some simple gems. One of my monsters, Torkid, desperately needed a makeover, so I took a few painstaking hours and built a face and proper drills for it. I gradually became more accustomed to Blender, and I made the decision to remodel bits and pieces for the farmhouse map. It improved the look of the map a little, but I was still unsatisfied with it. I wanted to build a second map for Sunny, and as the first map was named the farmhouse, I got to work on a farm map, recording my process as I went, as I was going to make a video of my work for this channel. I actually got pretty far into building this map before I took a step back and realized the problems I was creating for myself. First of all, this map was going to be completely open and flat, which makes for a pretty boring experience and removes a lot of the tension if you can easily see it everywhere. Also, building the entire map in Blender was going to cause a very strange disconnect between the first map's quality and this map. Plus, I hadn't figured out any of the lore at this point and wasn't sure where I was going with the narrative. So with all these problems looming over me, I made the choice to scrap this map after a couple weeks work on it. As I didn't like the first map I'd built, I scrapped it and got to work on a brand new design for the farmhouse. If you want to see how I planned and built it, there'll be a link in the description for a full video detailing my progress. But since that video, I've been fleshing the map out more. Without showing too much, here's some changes and additions I've made to the map since my last video. I improved the outside environment a little, changing the cliff faces and refining the balcony and porches. I decorated most of the rooms and improved the lighting in certain areas. Making a house is tricky, as trying to make it feel lived in is quite a challenge. There are so many little parts that you have to think of, and it takes a lot of time and effort, especially for a single person, hence the long gaps between uploads. Game design and lore. Throughout this year of development, I've gradually moved away from Piggy's style of gameplay. At the beginning of this year, Sunny was not much more than a Piggy clone with less content, clunky gameplay, and an extremely lame story. It had a unique mechanic, that being the eye, which was a cool concept, but there were a lot of issues with its implementation. After hearing Dags and some other criticisms of Piggy and uploading my analysis video on Piggy, I recognized I had to make some major changes to Sunny if I wanted it to succeed. As I've been working on the farmhouse and Sunny's visuals, I haven't implemented any of these ideas yet, but I'll share what I'm currently thinking with you. A few issues that Piggy has are related to its round-based gameplay. It's really annoying joining a game of Piggy only to realize you missed the beginning of a round and have to either wait or search for a different server. On top of this, sometimes you would lose a round due to the rather arbitrary 10-minute timer that was on every map, which is frustrating when you're learning a map for the first time. Sunny is going to be split into two major game modes: Story and Casual. Story is going to follow a linear order, going episode by episode like a TV show, allowing for more scripted events and better atmosphere. This mode will also not have a timer, and instead there will be natural events that trigger certain gameplay during a round. Casual is going to be more similar to Piggy, with a voting system, less cutscenes, and it will allow the player to become the monsters. This arrangement also makes it easier to tell what's canon and what isn't. Playing story mode? Then it's canon. I've still got a lot to figure out regarding each mode, but both of these different playstyles will be added as the game expands. Items will also be different, as a common issue in Piggy was a player picking up an item and refusing to use it, which can bring a round to a stop as only one player can have a certain item at a time. Items can also be switched, resulting in them moving around, and this can be confusing if you don't know where it's been put. My current solution to this is to give the player 3 inventory slots, so there's less wandering around searching for a specific item again, and also allowing multiple people to carry the same item, similar to how a key works indoors. When your inventory is full and you want to pick a new item up. You simply choose which item you want to drop. Another deviation to the game is going to be the lore. Piggy's lore was interesting, but had a predictable plot and premise for the most part. It was basically a zombie apocalypse, started in a lab that spreads through attacking. I'm not saying it's a bad story, as plot points like the silver paw and the insolent added a lot of mystery, but it's a pretty common apocalypse premise. Sunny's story was originally going to be something similar, but without spoiling anything, Sunny's story is going to stray very far from this formula. This year's been a pretty jam-packed one, and I hope you enjoyed seeing my progress. As I explained earlier, since I rebuilt the farmhouse map, my vision for Sunny has grown, and as a result, I've been more absent on YouTube. I'll try to be more consistent here, but if I'm not, I'm simply too busy developing. If you enjoyed this video, then please give me a like. It's the best way to support this channel. Thank you for watching. Geek out!